Hello. Today we're going to do a little departure from the normal videos. Last weekend we had a Tank Shack tournament at a local hobby store. 750 points. And the key to it was the week prior, or 2 weeks prior actually, you had to purchase your tank, if you will, from the model you were going to use in the Tank Shack tournament series. So of course I needed to focus on my Imperial Guard, so I went ahead and bought a couple Leman Russ kits. Matter of fact, I got the Imperial Guard battle box, the one that has the Commissar, infantry squad, and a tank, and I got another Leman Russ tank. So, and it was a buy and build session, so I built the tanks that day, or at least the primary tank, the Vanquisher. It was kind of fun. If you saw my kind of paint along videos set, that was a tank that I bought that day, and I was going to put together a list, 750, but it had to incorporate the tank you bought. Well, unfortunately, Imperial Guard tanks, you can't just buy the one as a commander. You have to have that second one. So, fortunately, I did have a second tank, but that forced me to spend extra points I didn't necessarily want to spend on a second Leman Russ. So I kitted out the first tank as I intended, Vanquisher with las cannon. Decided to play around with sponsons and put some multi-meltas in. You can really never go wrong with Strength 8 AP1. I mean, you don't worry about the melta rule so much. Just having the Strength 8 AP1 to get past armor and instant kill things. That's really what I was trying to accomplish with that. With the second Leman Russ, it was just a straight battle cannon. Again, if you go back to looking at my Leman Russ variant Tactica series or Tactica video, I talked about developing or building your tanks to suit a certain role. So I wanted a tank hunter as my command tank, and I wanted infantry support as my secondary tank. So just a battle cannon on front with the hull-mounted heavy bolter, no sponsons. No sense in buying extra, spending extra points on weapons that you'll only be able to snap fire. But still, it was going to be effective because with the Strength 8 AP3 blast, that's going to do a lot of damage to a lot of things. Now, my intention originally was to go into an Imperial Guard list, but when I found out that a couple of guys that were also going to be playing were thinking about bringing super heavies, Bane blades, what have you, which I don't have, and it was an unbound tournament, I figured, well, I gotta up the game and go with the meta. So what you see in front of me are the 6 models I brought: Leman Russ Vanquisher, Leman Russ Battle Cannon, the Wraith Knight with the Ghost Glaive, as well as 2 scatter lasers, and then a trio of jet bikes with one of them has a shuriken cannon, one has a scatter laser. So that was my 750-ish point. I think it's a little bit under 750, and I just hoped I could hold my own. No real games, no trickery so much. I got kind of lucky in the sense that I only had really 3 units. So if it was a kill point mission that I was up against, I probably wouldn't lose unless I got tabled. But I had what I needed to be able to go up against super heavies and what have you. When I got to tournament day, I was actually pretty surprised. There were quite a few super heavies and some real mean stuff out there. But there were quite a few other regular CADs. No formations that I can remember. We had a good turnout. I think there were 10 gamer players. So it was a pretty good tournament. But again, just 750. So it went down. I kind of felt a little bad bringing what I did, since not everybody had a super heavy. But in a tournament, you can't feel too bad. This is war, after all. I do kind of feel bad in one sense. Not trying to. trying not to brag here. Again, I've mentioned before in some of the videos I do have a pretty mean competitive streak, which I try to rein in, but it doesn't always work. But I was able to, the first opponent I had was Tau. Second was Mechanicus, and is actually Skitarii. Unfortunately, the third one has my son and his Space Marines. That one I did kind of feel bad about, because he did bring an Imperial Knight, which I made some mistakes with. But what was, I guess, kind of satisfying is I tabled all three opponents. So I had some good dice rolling. In the case of the Tau, the long strike was the last one left, and I had my Vanquisher just couldn't hit or couldn't penetrate. Yeah, even with the Armor Bane on the gun, it couldn't penetrate. It's just bad rolling. But the Wraith Knight took out his Riptide. The Scatter Lasers actually took out most of his Pathfinder squad, so got rid of the Marker Lights quick. It was a game for, I want to say it was the first one. It's the we had 4 objectives. It was only on a 4-foot by 4-foot board because it was only 750 points, and we ended up with. I only had 3 units, so trying to seize all 4 objectives was impossible. However, I was able to accidentally immobilize my Leman Russ battle cannon, and so I broke off the unit into 4. I was able to not only table the opponent, but actually secure all 4 objectives. I brought the jet bikes in as reserve to secure an objective later in the game and keep him from getting hurt first turn, especially the Riptide around. He spent most of his time shooting at my Wraith Knight, and he took off 5 wounds before the only thing left was Long Strike. And on the very last turn, he rolled to hit, and he hit. And with a Strength 10 AP 1, it was a sure thing he was going to wound, but he rolled a 1. So thankfully my Wraith Knight did survive, which allowed me to actually use the battle cannon. It was the one that finally took out the last hull point off that hammerhead. In the second battle, we had again still 4 objective markers. We had a Skitarii formation come out, and I deployed to one corner to concentrate my forces to basically deny him the ability to really shoot at my army. He could only really focus with half his army on me, and I could pour everything I had onto one. Again, keeping my jet bikes in reserve to preserve them from fire and to come out and take objectives later in the game. My Vanquisher tank got lucky. I did steal the initiative on that one, and the Vanquisher popped his command walker, the Dune Strider, not the Dune Strider, the 4-legged crawlers. Yeah, they're Dune Striders, yeah. Which unfortunately was the only weapon system he had that could deal with my Wraith Knight effectively. He had other little weapons scattered in his force, but couldn't really do much unless he got in range. After that, it was just a matter of dropping battle cannon pie plates down on the opponent and charging the Wraith Knight in to do some cleanup. Even the jet bikes got the action, followed up and polished off a couple of the units. To be fair, though, my opponent had some pretty bad rolls, failing his morale checks and for 2 of his main units in the first turn, and running 11 inches or 6 inches on one, 11 inches on the other. Really put him out of position. In the end, I tabled him, and I took no wounds in return. It was a really lopsided victory in that one. On the third battle against my son, I made some serious errors. He brought his Centurions with grav weapons, and they were hidden in terrain for up cover, so I was a little worried about being able to land shots on him and actually kill him, especially when he's got a Predator with 3 Las on one corner, and he's got a Wraith Knight, or not Wraith Knight, Imperial Knight on the other corner, charging down my tanks. So I made a mistake of pulling the Wraith Knight back to avoid getting chewed up by the grav guns and las cannons he had, which unfortunately opened up my tanks to a charge. Now, I guess fortunately for me, my very first move to move the Vanquisher up to get a bead on his Predator, I ended up pivoting, lining up the shot, and then moving forward into ruins and immobilize myself. So that actually gave me the ability to break off again the Leman Russ battle tank cannon forward to make sure I couldn't get charged, that my command tank couldn't get charged by the Imperial Knight the very next turn. He'd have to go through the first tank. And he couldn't go around it to engage both tanks at once, so that actually helped me survive, because with it no longer being a squadron, the damage wouldn't carry over. So from that point, it was just play around, dance around him, delay him as much as possible, do as much damage as I can. He kept making his saves with his Centurions. I slowly whittled him down with the battle cannon. With the Vanquisher did pop the Predator, but I actually had to do some damage with it first with the scatter laser from the side armor on that coming in from reserve. So it was pretty dicey, no pun intended, because he was saving most of his rolls, whether it was cover save or my wound rolls. I was definitely under pressure. And when he brought his Imperial Knight up, I had moved my Wraith Knight back out of range too far away to engage him in close combat early. So it was a matter of I couldn't get close in time. He ended up tearing through both of my tanks before I could engage him, and unfortunately I whiffed most of my attacks F1 and did enough deep hull points to and plus an explosion to kill him before he could attack me back. So I was very, very fortunate there. But I noticed I had gotten a little overconfident in my second game because it went so well that I overcompensated and got a little too cautious in my third game, and that almost cost me. Because if I hadn't tabled him, he had the objectives, and he would have won. So that was a pretty close game. But now I want to transition. The next segment I want to go through here, we have a next week. So 2 weeks after the 750 tournament is a 1750 point tournament, and I'm going to talk about the list I'm going to bring there. So let me show it to you, and then we can kind of talk about it. And I want to get some of your input. Okay, so this is my 1750 list. I know there's a couple of guys who are not too pleased about running into some of those super heavies. They're going to, the ones who, some of them bought CADs and such. And, I've heard the word pain train mentioned a few times, so I know there's some real serious stuff coming, so I figured it was my turn. But if these are going to be objective-based games too, I need to really up my game, because that Wraith Knight will take a lot of fire and come down quick. So I didn't want to put all my eggs in one basket so much. So I went with more of an MSU approach, multiple small units, for those of you who don't know. Still have to take my primary Vanquisher as the command tank, and in this case though, I have him equipped the same way as last time, with the las cannon hull and 2 multi-multi sponsons. However, instead of a Leman Russ battle cannon, I'm doing an exterminator with 3 heavy bolters. That'll put down a lot of DACA. Again, using the split fire command from the commander, I'm able to use 2 tanks that are fulfilling 2 different battlefield roles and be able to split them and fire at 2 targets. Rolling a 9 or less, I'm very likely to be able to target 2 different units. In order to make it 3 different combined arms attachments, I had to take 2 veteran squads, and they're just the base veteran squads. 60 points, no upgrades. 10 guys to hold objectives. Now, my Dark Eldar force, my Exdites, Dragon independent clans, I'm going to have 2 Dukes, which are the homunculus for the Dark Eldar. I'm going to have 3 units of 3 Reaver jet bikes, and 2 units of my Glade Guard, which are the Kabalite Warriors equivalent. So that's a CAD, and each of those homunculi take a webway portal with them. Now on my House Clan side, which is the Eldar Codex, I've got an Archon. All he's got, not Archon, sorry, Autarch. What he has is really just the Scorpion Chainsword, just so that I've got a second close combat weapon, or second close combat attack. 2 units of my Spriggans, which are the Wraithguard with D-Scythes, both those with 6. And then 4 separate units of Windrunner jet bikes. Fully equipped. There's a set with all Shuriken catapults, a set with all Shuriken cannons, actually 2 with all Shuriken catapults, and one's got a mix like I had from the last battle. So with this, I plan to bring a lot of pain. Everything will be in reserve except for the guard. Yeah, all the guards. So the 2 tanks will start on the table as a squadron. And the 2 infantry units will start probably nearby but spread out so that they're on an objective. I'll be bringing the Glade Guard separately in reserve just in case I need to replace the human infantry, Imperial Guard infantry, to hold onto objectives in my backfield. The jet bikes, so that's 7 units. 4 of them, the Eldar ones, have objectives secured, and the 3 Reaver ones don't, but those can contest objectives just fine. So I've got a lot of objective control there. The Autarch just helps me bring in my reserves more precisely, basically on a 2+. There's the only ones I'd want to hold off on bringing in would be Reavers or the Glade Guard especially. So I might try to delay their arrival. But the two Dukes, which are the Homunculus and the Dark Eldar Codex, one will be with each of the Wraithguard units, so that I can bring those Wraithguard right down on my opponent with those D-Scythes and take out whatever they've got their most dangerous units, whether it's a super heavy or just even what do you call those? These their bomb Death Stars. So that's the kind of approach I'm going to take this time. I've got another week before the tournament comes up, so I don't know if I'm going to tweak it. I've been tweaking it all week, and this is kind of where I'm at. So putting it in front of you guys, let me kind of give me your opinions on how to tackle 1750 with potential everything, flyers and heavy super heavies, and in fact most of them a lot of them are going to be unbound. So I know if there's going to be Imperial Knights out there. I know there's going to be Baneblades. I know at least one Scorpion, other Scorpions coming, but still those are all going to have a tough time dealing with my D-Scythes. So let me know what you think. Go ahead, share, like, subscribe. I will try to take pictures during the tournament and kind of give a little overview afterward. All right. Thanks for watching. Again, share, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.